If we just cut to the chase, if we are to talk about non-violence, right? So as of today, there are a lot of people like monks and or Buddhist people who live in Myanmar, who are actually in support of the military juntas over there. Buddhist people have generally been, very calm and very peaceful. In such a dramatic circumstances, how would you view the situation? How would you reconcile the non-violence?
Well, actually, I cannot really truly represent the Myanmar Buddhist monks, but generally speaking, if they are actually supporting violence, there is no reconciliation. Okay, as a monk, if you use someone else's hand, okay, to kill, I lose my vows. There is no excuse. If you are a Buddhist monk, you are not allowed to do that. Okay, this is not about politics. Okay, this is about ethics as an individual, as a monk. Either you abide by Buddha Shakyamuni's rules properly, or you don't claim to abide by his rules. Okay, don't wear the monastic robe if you are not really a genuine monk.
So why the hell did they destroy Tibet? Like they have destroyed.
Buddhist values means you believe in karma, you believe in ethics, you believe in compassion, you believe in reincarnation, you believe in enlightenment, you believe in bodhicitta, you believe in equality. How do you qualify to be a Buddhist? Depriving them of their basic human rights, attacking them even if that entails killing thousands. We are a refugee community, but quite a successful refugee community, and we have not really assimilated completely into the Indian community in the sense, of course, culturally we are alike, but still we have maintained our differences as Tibetans, and we have also maintained our identity. We have also been able to preserve our culture. This has happened, the survival of Tibet as a nation after Chinese occupation. We owe it greatly to India, because if His Holiness was not given asylum by the Indian government, at that time India was a quietly new independent nation, and you have a lot of difficulties at that time. But the courage to receive His Holiness, look after the Tibetan community despite angering China, and so India took a great risk.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Jay and Bharat show, and welcome to a very very special edition with Geshe Nawang Sonam sir. Sir, I'm truly delighted to have you on my show, sir. Thank you so much for joining us back for part 2. Guys, for in this episode, we'll be talking about history of how China has conquered Tibet, how Tibetan people are living in India, their overall historical background, the controversies and the criticisms which the religion of Buddhism and this Holiness the Dalai Lama face, and some other geopolitical serious topics. So this is not a spiritual podcast, but it's related with history, the inconsistencies and the realities of the present situation of Buddhist people and the religion. So, Geshe Sonam Sirji, absolutely, I'm honored to have you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Faye.
So, sir, let's just talk about, if we just cut to the chase, if we are to talk about non-violence, right? So, as of today, there are a lot of people like monks and or Buddhist people who live in Myanmar, who are actually in support of the military juntas over there. So, sir, if you are to shed a light on this topic, see, this is a geopolitical slide, sort of religious topic, because this topic is cutting across the lines of Buddhist people. Like it's slightly contradictory in nature. So, in cases where Buddhist people have generally been, very calm and very peaceful. In such a dramatic circumstances, how would you view the situation right now in that country?
Well, actually, I cannot really truly represent the Myanmar Buddhist monks, but generally speaking,
Like, how would you reconcile the non-violence which
no.
Buddhist
It's
people
I find it very
propagate?
difficult to reconcile
Yeah.
these if actually they are supporting the militia, okay, or the military or whatever. If they are actually supporting violence, there is no reconciliation. Okay.
Okay.
No, but as a monk, if you support a killing, okay, or
Yes,
if
sir.
you use someone else's hand, okay, to kill, but the motivation to kill is there in
Yes,
you,
sir.
then you get disrobed as a monk. You know, if I gave you money to kill someone, then I lose my vows if you carry forth my instruction. So there is no excuse. If you are a Buddhist monk, you are not allowed to do that. Okay, this is not about politics. Okay, this is about ethics as an individual, as a monk. Either you abide by Buddha Shakyamuni's rules properly, or you don't claim to abide by his rules. Okay, don't wear the monastic robe if you are not really a genuine monk.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so there is no excuse, and I find it very difficult to reconcile if violence is supported by monastics. No, you shouldn't.
And sir, what about ordinary Buddhist people who are not monks?
True, yeah. Even if they are not monks, if they are Buddhist, they have
Yeah.
precepts. Lay people's precept, which entails 5 kinds of precepts. One is not killing
Yes, sir.
humans. So, irrespective of whether you have any precept or not, if you kill someone,
Yes, sir.
and even in an insect, that's accumulation of negative karma. So there is no excuse.
So let's just go back to China. We're talking about Myanmar. So China is largely, if I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a Buddhist country, right? China.
Yes, right now a communist, and I
Yeah.
don't know whether I should call China a Buddhist country.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to
Do you call
see.
China a Buddhist country?
I don't want to call it a Buddhist country because they destroyed Buddhism in Tibet.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah, they attacked Buddhism.
Yeah. See, the thing is, when you go and open Google or you open Wikipedia, the highest percentage of religious community there is Buddhism.
Yeah,
And
but
followed by
the
Confucianism and
yeah,
atheism.
people, there are many Buddhists. How far, how sincere, how educated Buddhists there are, I don't know. All right.
Okay.
But if you look at the regime, they don't have a religion.
Yes.
So if you think of Chinese people, and in that respect, general Chinese people, and call China a Buddhist country, that's another thing. But if you think of the China as a nation with its regime and everything, then it's very difficult to call China a Buddhist country. I'm not saying it's not a Buddhist country,
I
but
get your
I
point.
don't want to call it a Buddhist country.
As a layman,
Yeah.
it's a Buddhist country for the rest of the world, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is, if they are Buddhist country, like if the government, if the people are Buddhist, largely in nature, some of them are Confucius and some of them don't believe in God, they are atheists. So why the hell did they destroy Tibet? Like they are destroying, they
You
have
see, if they
destroyed.
really have Buddhist values, okay?
Yeah.
Buddhist values means you believe in karma.
Yeah.
You believe in ethics. You believe in compassion. You believe in reincarnation. You believe in enlightenment. You believe in bodhicitta. You believe in equality. You believe in not robbing another nation of its minerals,
Yeah.
of people, depriving them of their basic human rights, attacking them, even if that entails killing thousands. So if you have that kind of mentality, how do you qualify to be a Buddhist?
So you're saying it is not a religious thing. It is. It is
No,
just.
there is nothing religious
yeah.
about Tibetan occupation.
Yeah. It is all about dominance, right?
Yeah, it's actually initially communism. If you think of the word communism,
Yeah.
it came from community, okay? Socialism, okay? Well-being of the general mass. Initially, yes, it's a good concept, okay? Equality and everything. But when people get power, and if they don't have basic human values in, and then they have people under their control, and they become aggressive, abusive, and abuse of power. But people who started these abuses, are they alive now? His mothers are alive,
Yeah.
and his comrades who decided
But
to
the
occupy.
ideology is still
No,
alive.
you see, short-lived ideology.
Yeah.
If you think in terms of lifetimes and lifetimes, and if you have this belief of karma, accountability, not very soon, but in the long run. So then you are not really free from, you cannot escape your negative action. So initially, yes, Mao Zedong, they may have good motivation, but in the meantime, after they got the power, then they became abusive. Yeah.
So since I think for I think in my mind 50-60 years have elapsed since
More than 60.
more than 60,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Since the Tibetan exile of all the people living over there. Now you're all living in India. Like I know you're born in India, you're not a refugee, but your parents must have been refugees, am I right?
Yes, they started.
So the thing is, you have been living in here. Like I'm not talking about you personally, but the community,
Yeah,
Tibetan
Tibetan as a
community has been
community,
living
yes,
in India
exactly, yes.
for so many years now. So where do you see the future of these people while living in India? And what do you think holds for them? And do you have any, let's just say, complaints or any grievances towards the Indian government, or any things you would like to share directly with the Indian government, with the Himalayan government, like the state governments? Like, what is your experience? Where do you think the community is going,
Yeah.
and what are your
So
concerns about it?
right now, we are a refugee community, but quite a successful refugee community.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have not really assimilated completely into the Indian community. In the sense, of course, culturally we are alike, but still we have maintained our differences as Tibetans, and we have also maintained our identity. We have also been able to preserve our culture. Uh, this has happened, the survival of Tibet as a nation after Chinese occupation. We owe it greatly to India, because if His Holiness was not given asylum by the Indian government, at that time India was a quietly new
Yeah,
independent nation, and
absolutely.
you have a lot of difficulties at that time. But the courage to receive His Holiness, look after the Tibetan community despite angering China. And so India took a great risk, and
Yeah.
for all those 60 years, whatever the Indians can enjoy in a democratic India, we're also able to enjoy. We have equal freedom, equal right in many ways, but not as a citizen because we are refugees. But otherwise, the Indian community, the government, the local state governments, all have been very kind, very generous. If there's one nation who has been the most generous in our most difficult time, then that's India and Indian people. And that's true. I'm not, again, uh, uh, doing any kind of appeasement here. That's reality.
I get your point, sir. I get your
So
point.
because of that, a small individually, Tibetans have some small complaints here and there. And again, of course, Indians also have some complaints against us, Tibetans, uh, because we're all humans. We
Yes,
all
sir.
make
Absolutely.
mistakes. Despite that, if you look at the bigger picture, we are very grateful and we are actually very happy. But one thing that is different from other refugees is uh, the aim of coming into exile is to fight for our cause, so that eventually we will be able to return to Tibet. So now we are not actually, as you know, and the world know, and the China knows too. They do not really admit that we are not really totally seeking complete independence, and so we are speaking a reasonable autonomy with freedom to preserve our ecology, our culture, our identity, our religion. And as human species, we all have the right to do that. And so, and sensibly, if China is to look at the Tibetan issue, uh, it's not that they're actually, in a real sense, they are. It's not like we are beggars begging for something without anything in our hand. Historically, Tibet has been an independent country. Uh, there was a time in Tibetan history when Tibet occupied part of China, great part of China. So historically, there is no evidence for China to prove that Tibet is part of China. If you actually look at the Great Wall of China,
Yes.
what is that wall for? Because that's the borderline.
Yes.
Beyond that, that's not China. All right. Okay. And if you look at human civilization, okay, no nation started with all these great territories. Okay. All right. So if you look at the Tibetan history, that we have maintained, and historically, if you look at our history books, Tibet, Mongolia, China, and also India, these were all considered separate nations. And so we have never been under Chinese. Of course, Tibet, to some, uh, after some time, there was this, after the Tibetan great empires, Tibet split into different kingdoms, but these kingdoms were independent on their own, but traditionally and culturally and religiously, we were united, but not necessarily under one like government. But we have never been historically part of Tibet, no, part of China, sorry. So they have no right. So historically, we were independent. They snatch our country from us. Now, when we negotiate with the Chinese, we have history. We are not going to put history aside and negotiate or talk. Now, this is history from our side. So we have every right to exist as an independent nation. We are not part of you. But now we want to be part of you. But the thing is, if you want to rule or to us to be part of you, not rule over us, we need equality. We need freedom. We need to preserve democratic values. All right? We need to preserve our culture, ecology. And what is wrong with that? And it's also beneficial for the Chinese. So, so this is my view as far as the Chinese occupation of Tibet is concerned. So they have no right, but they have snatched our country, occupied. And this is a bitter truth. You cannot run away from historical facts. Just because you have military power, you cannot
Suppress history.
suppress truth.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So coming to another topic, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, his stances on issues like China, succession, and secular preaching of secular ethics, and like being secular, and like he is not a forceful staunch maker of Buddhism. Like he doesn't goes around the world and says, become a Buddhist and you will achieve attainment or you will feel moksha. He is not like a preacher of Buddhism. So he keeps his things to himself, and he's not preaching other people to join Buddhism or like that. So these things have garnered a lot of praise and also a lot of criticism. So being his official translator, you have observed His Holiness so much closer in your life. So where do you draw the line? Like, what do you think Dalai Lama's contribution has been to the world, keeping his stances in mind?
Yeah. So, for example, His Holiness did not intend to spread Buddhism. It's particularly even when he goes.
And this is very rare, to be honest, because most
Yeah.
religious leaders,
Yeah.
they preach this thing all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
So, Buddhism is actually very rich. I have studied it extensively. It's very rich. But whether it's applicable to others or not, uh, uh, they decide. They should have freedom. We shouldn't impose Buddhism on others. And if there is something meaningful from Buddhism that the world can benefit, so be it. We have nothing to lose, okay, by opening our culture or religious heritage to others. All right. So, and then we have different individuals around the world, different cultural upbringings, different traditions, different mental inclinations, intellectual capabilities. So even Buddha Shakyamuni himself, he taught different kinds of philosophies, different levels of practices. You have Hinayan Buddhism, Theravada tradition. You have Buddhism. We have Vajrayana. Even in Tibetan Buddhism or the Tibetan tradition Buddhism, we have different kinds. Okay. And if you look at the philosophical school, we have Vaibhashika, Sotantika, Chittamatya, Madhyamaka. Madhyamaka also has different types within it. So these are because we are different individuals with different intellectual capabilities, inclinations, mental dispositions. So you cannot force one kind of a thing on people. Adaptability, accessibility, all this we have to take into account what they need, what they can take, what they cannot take. So you don't force. The fact that Buddha Shakyamuni came on this earth and taught was not to dominate others, okay, force his dominance on others, but to help others. So because of that, His Holiness, being a very genuine follower of the Buddha, and also very intelligent. So something that I've seen in His Holiness is His Holiness do not get influenced by our ordinary emotions. As a Buddhist, I'm actually attached to Buddhism. So I also initially, as a new monk, I wanted the others to be Buddhist. Now I don't think like that.
Okay.
At all. Okay, and whatever contribution we can make to the world for others will, and if they on their own want to embrace Buddhism, then they have their own religious freedom, right? But will not, and also even if we help them with Buddhism, it's not to dominate them or enforce our rule or superiority as teachers on them, but to help them
Uplifted.
uplift. So that's criticism about His Holiness approach. I don't think I've really heard much. I mean, people could say anything,
Like
but
those are
sensible criticism,
yeah.
I haven't really heard much. All right. And then, as far as the approach of with regards to the Tibetan struggle is concerned, His Holiness is actually a great logician, and he is not empowered by. He's not like the way he decides is not based on his inclinations. It's based on reality, logic. And so, logically speaking, if you look at the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, despite all the help that it get, how many has it lost? A lot of people,
Yes, sir,
a lot
absolutely.
of destruction, and also on the other side, Russia also a lot of destruction. And so, to resolve an issue by fighting, I think we are not animals. Okay, we have to be sensible. The one special quality we humans have is the wisdom of discernment. Talk with one another, show respect to one another on an equal basis, and show concern for one another. And with that, in that kind of atmosphere of equality, respect, and concern for one another, if you sort out the differences, you can sort out the differences because we are humans. Animals can't do that. So, because of that, His Holiness approach with respect to the Tibetan struggle, I think that's very sensible. His Holiness would never want to harm even one Chinese or ever, even by pinching one Chinese. His Holiness, even pinching one Chinese out of her hatred because he or she is Chinese, His Holiness will never do that. That I have seen impeccable compassion in His Holiness, sense of concern for others, and that's very spontaneous, natural, and contrived. There is no pretension there. So if the Chinese could really see his sincerity, if they are sensible,
They do see the sincerity, but they're not the sensible. That's the
and
whole
again,
point.
it's not very easy because now it's a system where no one individual can
Call the shots.
call the shots. So because of that, it will take time for China as a nation to change, but I hope the change is a positive one where the Chinese benefit, where the Tibetans benefit, and whether or not, whether they like it or not, if they want to use force on us Tibetans and annihilate us, that's not going to happen at all ever. The world is watching. We live in a highly scientific, technologically advanced world where any nation can get now satellite images of what's happening in Tibet. And so because of that, since we have to live with one another, why not live peacefully in
Absolutely.
compassion with mutual benefit, mutual concern? Yeah.
And so, talking about, like, I'll just pivot to another topic. I get your points. What you have just raised about. I think the Dalai Lama personally has given great contribution to the whole world. He's a big asset. He's a religious leader. Billions look up.
And another thing I want to say is,
Yes, sir.
His Holiness, China always talk about the region of His Holiness.
Yeah,
Yeah. More than that, they are not they do not even accept a Tibetan issue to be solved, which is actually not true.
They just decline it outrightly.
Yeah. They, but His Holiness is not concerned about his personal well-being or personal return himself of as an individual. Okay, His Holiness is not somebody who wants to impose himself to others. No, he's not like that. If you, for example, if you give you one example, when I was with His Holiness at an interview that at a conversation that he had with some Westerners, okay, maybe some humanitarian, okay, who was quite elderly at that time. So I was by His Holiness side, standing, and when the conversation finished, now as someone serving His Holiness, my priority is not the other person, okay, on the other side of the table, whoever that person may be, for a Buddhist, and myself being a Tibetan who holds His Holiness as the supreme uh, leader, religious,
Yes, sir.
political. So my priority was His Holiness. So I pushed the table to his side so that His Holiness could move out easily.
I get your point.
But His Holiness said, don't do that. He also needs to,
Have some space.
no. He also needs to exit.
Yeah,
So he needs space, and he's more elderly than me. So I was actually, that was like an awakening. And when I became a monk, initially, it was difficult for me to truly appreciate compassion, because I need an authentic compassion where people, when people are kind to you, most of us usually have a vested interest. If you're kind to me, then I am kind to you. But unconditionally, people are not really kind to you, generally speaking.
absolutely, sir.
So now His Holiness being unconditionally kind to others, that I have seen, that's something very unique. And also one of my teachers in a monastery, when they taught me, they didn't want anything for themselves at all, not even respect. But all they cared was to impart the proper education on me. So that was actually something which really gave me this something about compassion that's driving them passionately. And His Holiness, now wherever His Holiness speaks, it's about compassion. So someone who really embodies compassion uh, is speaking like that. And if you follow it slowly, when you experientially know what compassion can do to yourself, to your community, to your family, and so forth, to others, then you can really see the contribution of His Holiness to the world. Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. So, talking about Buddhism as a religion, so do you feel, in short, just asking if there is any, I'm just asking as a layman, do you believe that there are any misconceptions towards Buddhism or any misgivings towards Buddhism that people have that you would absolutely want to, just lay rest to? Any misconceptions or any misgivings towards a
There could be
religion?
lots of misconceptions.
Yeah. So what are the major misconceptions? Like what do you have in mind? Like is there any one thing which pulls people away from this religion or anything, like people are getting scared or maybe misgivings?
Now, actually, on the spot, if you ask me something like that,
Yes,
it's difficult to recollect something.
I get your
But
point.
one thing that,
Major things that come to
because
our mind.
people, when they think of religion, usually they think of a creator, like a god, okay? A supreme authority who created us. And now the reason why we worship them is because we have been created by the Creator, and if we remain grateful to the Creator, we'll be united with the Creator. And whatever we do, the word service, in English, is to serve
Absolutely.
the one who has created you. So many people align Buddhism with this kind of this notion of religious understanding, which is not true. And then people also tend to think that when we speak about reincarnation, concept of liberation, when people judge you, they judge you with the limited knowledge of Buddhism that they have, which could be hearsay and so forth. So for me, reincarnation is something that can be logically proven. It's not something we need to impose on others. But if they have an unbiased state of mind, reincarnation is not difficult. And skepticism has its limit.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
example, people tend to think faith is not faith that we practice is blind faith. Well, some element of blind faith we all have in our life. For example, when you go to a drugstore and buy medicines, all right, and if you want to buy, let's say, ciprofloxacin, okay, 500 mg. It's written 500 mg ciprofloxacin, which is quite a common antibiotic. So you don't have, and then if you look at the label, it shows you the ingredients that are there, but neither have you a proper way of checking whether the ingredients are really there in that capsule, or whether it's just piece of chalk. You don't know, right? You just trust the label, whatever has been stamped. Expiry date, again, you could have put it wrongly, but you take a shot. And when you actually take that medicine and it's helping you, you ask people, okay, I had a flu that was quite difficult, and I took this at the recommendation or at the prescription of the doctors, and so I think it's going to work on you because we have the same human bodies and almost same age level, so the dose will work on you. But some element of belief is there, right? So some people who are too skeptical, not only of Buddhism but of religions, they always want more explanation when their own capacity to digest
Digest
information
the
is
information is
limited.
limited. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
your point.
yeah, yeah.
Put to
So
the point
you
answer.
start slowly, and in due course of time, yeah, it makes sense.
I get your point,
Yeah.
sir. So another topic in my mind. See, like this is a very raw conversation I'm having. Like so, there are a lot of topics running in my mind right now. See, the thing is, in these times, modern times, there is climate change, there is oppression, there is inequality. A lot of things are happening. The world is going to shit, to be honest. So, sir, in these tough times, do you believe that the concept of meditation, inner peace, mindfulness are enough for one to live peacefully, or people are just silently isolating them from the realities of the world? Like, where do you draw the line
No,
personally?
no, to just meditation for oneself to live peacefully, it's impractical because you have to engage with the world. You have to eat, you have to walk, you have to look after your family, you have to go to work, and so forth. So that's not sufficient. And also, meditation in the absence of proper training, proper reasoning. If you just stay silent and stop thoughts occurring in your mind, I wouldn't say brain. Momentarily, yes, there will be some benefit. But then when you're confronted with issues that usually bring a lot of conflicts in our mind, anxiety, stress, depression, and so forth, then you need investigation and analytical meditation. For that, you know, so because of that, I don't think that's enough. You need, and to do analytical meditation, you need to be aware of all facets of reality. So you have to be very learned, intelligent in order to counteract your difficulties in this life. Yeah.
Like, sir, we are living in these unprecedented times.
Yes.
Like, there is so much alacrity outside in the world. Like, there is alarmness, there is chaos, there is so much going on in the world. So at these times, how can a person do something better for the society? Like, where do you draw the line? Like, what I'm trying to say is, I see, there are a lot of crimes which happen. I am a practicing advocate, so I do see heinous crimes being committed by the people. I see, inequalities all over the world. I see India's political system going to shit. Like, there are a lot of chaos in this country itself, let alone the world. So, sir, do you believe that if there are so many crimes, like they just say, we have monasteries here in McLeodgans, right? It's a spiritual place. But McLeodgans or Dharamshala, it has become a holiday destination for the world, like a honeymoon destination, or maybe like just a place to chill out. So I really get bothered by these things. Plus, for example, as a Hindu, or there are a lot of people living in India who are Hindus. Ram Mandir, the installation of Ayodhya, Ram Mandir is Ayodhya. So what I'm thinking is Ram Mandir तो बन गया, but इतना chaos है दुनिया में, कितना इतना chaos है इंडिया में, I mean to say, कि हर जगह people speak a lot of falsehood. There are so many crimes happening. There are so many rapes, murders, dacoities, robberies, so much of shit going on. So many lies being circulating in the country. So at one stage we are heading towards religion and temples and spirituality, but on the other way it's totally lopsided, that we are not able to keep things accountable. Like, people are not walking the talk. Like, I'm seeing temples being instructed, but people are not only changing themselves from within. Like, this is my point. Like, if you are truly religious, if you are truly spiritual, then why don't you walk the talk?
Yeah.
So this is the whole problem I'm dealing with, like this country is dealing with. Because if everybody is getting spiritual, then why are these crimes, or why the country's state of affairs still the same? So in such scenarios, what do you think a person should do? How do you think a nation should rebuild itself or rebrand itself?
Oh, your question is very, very broad.
Yeah, I know it's very
So,
broad.
for example, people always complain about inequality.
Yeah.
So inequality in what? Wealth? Yeah, then inequality, if the wealth is something to be distributed by the government, and if it's not being distributed equally, then you can complain. But then people who struggle more, through ethical living,
Yeah.
if they are able to earn more, then you cannot complain of inequality because he struggled. And if you just stay there, for example, one time I actually went to the, what's that called, slum area in Dharamsala.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to see why they are so poor. They are not really handicapped.
Yes.
They are actually very lazy people who didn't want to do anything. Whatever money they got, they दारू पीता है,
Yes, I get your point.
कुछ नहीं करता. So then if you complain of inequality, you didn't do anything. You have to take care of yourself first. Then there is law which is equal for all. If that is not implemented equally, then people who are responsible, who are in position, they are actually the one, first, they have to ensure that the law is equally applicable to all. And so people who make decisions, judges, the police, the CPI, all those people in government position, they are the ones to enforce law, right? And if they have a value system, a genuine Hindu value or ethical value, or even if you do not have any religion, if you have this is common sense that the well-being of every individual in this country is important and should not be compromised. With that sense, if you actually do your work, then I think we'll have a considerably just society. But whether that's happening or not, again, one individual cannot. It may take time. So His Holiness has actually advocated for secular ethics education. He has consistently spoken about the education of heart along with the education of mind. So when you have actually an education system that only educates your mind, means it only addresses your academic understanding of real things and do not enrich you from within, then you will use your intelligence wrongly. But if you have a compassionate heart complementing your own intelligence, you will not use your intelligence negatively.
Absolutely.
So kind of an education that is applicable to all is secular education on one warm-heartedness. So in that respect, Yusuf, we have a whole lot of materials from Hindu and Buddhist texts in terms of meditation, in terms of emotions, how to counteract emotions. So we need to take them and in a non-religious atmosphere or approach, you have to apply them in your life. Otherwise, one religion is not applicable to all in the classroom. And we have people from all backgrounds, So kind of a secular ethics where that ethics education that emphasizes on warm-heartedness, that is so crucial for every society. And His Holiness actually has worked hard on that, and we have materials to provide for. It's for the betterment of the society. So that's one thing. And your questions are actually broad. Did I leave out something unaddressed?
The only thing I know it was a very big question in my own mind. My second part of the latter part of the question was, if the world is in so much chaos, do you believe that meditation or spirituality is a luxury when people are in misery or the world is in misery? Like, what do you think? I'm not saying this is the statement I'm giving on my own. I'm just asking, should I go all guns blazing, all swords swinging to save the outside world, or let's just say to fight for the better, for the good, or should I just lock myself up in a room and be at peace with where I am and do meditation and spirituality? Again, I'm not bullshitting. I'm not sitting on meditation and its power. But what should a conscious human being do?
So, two levels. One is individual level. Okay,
Yeah.
we are part of the society. We don't have to run from the society. So, but by being in a society, first, personal transformation positively. That's very important. If you are not an ethical person, a disciplined person who truly believes in the value of non-violence, in the value of compassion for others, in the value of equality, if that is not a real strong belief in you based on conviction, commonsensical, then your approach to convince others is limited too. So you cannot influence others that much. So in order to influence others, first you have to practice what you preach. And so if you truly practice what you preach, there is no room for hypocrisy, right? So first you have to
Absolutely.
work on yourself.
Yeah, walk the
Yeah,
talk.
and walk the talk. And working on yourself, India, as I said, has a lot of materials. You go to the Indian Hindu textbooks, and also uh, take some from Buddhist too, because these are actually your phobias who have written them.
Absolutely.
And then transform yourself to be a good, ethical, reasonable, and compassionate person. And then you can influence, because you know what the logics that goes along with compassion, that goes along with ethical discipline, that goes along with equality. And then you can influence one person, influence another, and so forth. But it's to achieve a perfect society. I don't know if it's achievable at all, frankly speaking.
I see.
But reasonably calm society will be able to achieve. Okay.
That's what we can strive for
Yeah.
for it, at least.
So engage with your world, but personal transformation is very important to engage with the world properly. Do not run away from the world. Be in the society. And because of that, she left our society to work somewhere in America. Then I was asked, how would you answer to that? By leaving your society and going elsewhere because you are not happy with your society. Now that's limited intelligence too. For example, whatever injustice there is against women everywhere around the world is not a doing of one or two individual or one to law. It's something that we have inherited from history, which is not right, but because it's something that has been happening for a long time. So to change that, it takes time. But reasonably fast, we are changing. Tibetans too, and India also, very fast. And so, in that respect, it's changing. But if you are really a compatible, okay, really someone who has a spirit,
Vociferous,
vociferous,
courageous.
courageous, then you don't run away. You stay in the same society that has problem and see how much contribution you can make.
Wonderful, it's a wonderful point.
So we don't have an independent nation of our own, and we have a lot of problems in our small community too. But I'm not somebody who is going to run away complaining there are lots of problems here. If there are problems here, and if you're intelligent and wise, you stay put and contribute as much as you can, so that at the time when you die, you have no regret of not having done enough from your side.
Absolutely.
Running away is not the proper way.
Absolutely. So it is not a right calling. So another question, like these are just simply rad questions,
Okay.
coming to my mind because it's way too diverse, the topic we're discussing right now. So Buddhism has been in India for so long. When you must be aware of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Yeah. He had given his own prophecy of, let's just say, he had proposed the liberation theory, that he wanted to have a Ambedkarite Buddhism, that he wanted Buddhism, Ambedkarite Buddhism,
Oh,
like
okay. Oh,
that.
yeah,
This
yeah,
this is what is called. Like he gave his doctrine because he was so fed up from the Hindu caste system in India that he had converted to Buddhism, and he gave a call for all Hindus to shun Hinduism and to join Buddhism. Nothing wrong about it because he was himself so depressed and irritated with the whole system. Okay, I give him, like, he has my sympathies, to be honest, for what he had gone through. So sir, why do you believe, like, as of today, Buddhism on its own has not given a tough call or a strong stance against the caste system problem in India? Because it's a very big thing, because Buddhism and Ambedkarite Buddhism, they overlap each other. What Ambedkar says is, I don't believe in caste system, So he had given a new theory of theology Buddhism. So, sir, what do you think? Like, should there be any statements coming from the from the Dalai Lama's official office, or maybe from the Tibetan government? Like, will they take any stance against this caste system in India? Because it's a very big problem. Because the biggest followers in the most famous follower of India of Buddhism is Dr. Bir Ambedkar has been in this country. Because of his contribution, many people have converted to Buddhism, right? So, sir, just to protect his individual ideology, his true character, his principles. So, do you believe that you also need to have some stance over this issue because it's a very grave issue, the caste system problem in India?
Well, if you look at the result of having a caste system in the society, there's a lot of chaos because of that caste system. So it's commonsensical from any religious viewpoint that caste system is not a good thing. It's commonsensical, okay? So it's through education, not by us taking a stance or a declaration from His Holiness or anything like that, okay?
Yeah,
And so, again, to bring about change, for example, sati system is now no more there. It was a big problem at some point, right? So sometimes it's not exactly what the religion preaches, but how it's interpreted negatively
yeah,
by people. Okay, so because we don't have the concept of creation, you know, whoever God or whatever Ishwar, we don't have the concept of creation. So sometimes people who explain caste system is because they are created inferior, and so they put a lot of weight on that. But if there is a creator and nobody has seen the creator, that's problematic. And before that, there was nothing there, right? In the created universe, and then being in there. So there is a lot. And why not create equally if it's ever compassionate, kind, non-judgmental, on all the beautiful qualities that we can attribute to any individual? The creator or Ishwar has all that. But despite that, there is a lot of chaos in the creation. So, uh, and I'm not being critical of those who believe in creator, but now we live in modern society, so we need to use common sense. And if basically, if you even if you believe in a creation of God or Ishwar or whatever, or Brahma or Shiv, I don't think Shivaji is considered a creator. Brahma is considered a creator in some religious, whatever is the case. I feel if they are um, created by an Ishwar or a God, then they are all children of the God, right? So why do you discriminate between same siblings? That's commonsensical.
absolute,
Yeah. So it's more education. And if, for example, if you go to highly educated societies, you don't see much caste system there, right? So if the society becomes educated, then we'll have less of this problem. So I feel upliftment of those who are underprivileged in terms of education and so forth. We need to really, and people sometimes billionaires, okay, trillionaires, they are a lot of money, and
they're not doing anything.
yeah. So it's a very I feel so sorry because they live their life lavishly and they are really not happy. If you live your life compassionately, you'll be much, much more happier than having all for yourself. So they should really work because they have financial means. And without money, you can't really
Absolutely,
do
sir,
much
absolutely.
in a society. So they should really invest their money for the proper education of the underprivileged. I don't think, for example, like, for example, like Elon Musk wants to go to Mars and settle people there eventually. Uh, I thought, okay, he has a lot of money. What kind of brain, you know? How many people can go there?
Absolutely.
And if I were to go to another planet where a limited number of people, for example, we live together, 100 or 200 people live together, you cannot export billions of people there. And then I don't think we can ever be able to properly settle there and live peacefully. The earth, I think it's the best place for us to humans to live. Okay, so I would rather invest that kind of money uh, for poor people. For poor people.
So I'll just give you, I'll just give the Buddhist community advice, you advice, the His Holiness office advice. The thing is, so Buddhism and Hinduism, they both overlap each other so many times. Like they are almost one aspect of the same thing. So, sir, I think your office or your community, the people of Buddhist people living in India, should, I think, give a very strong stance against caste system in India, because it will really help Hindus a lot.
First, actually,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it
okay.
should be a very good moral responsibility, because at the end of the day, we are making the people of India better, the whole community better, and even less, there will be more unity, there will be more peace.
Because I haven't really sensed much of caste system here in Dharamsala.
It is, it might not be in Dharamsala, but I'm telling you, it's chaotic in the whole of India. I'm telling you.
So the Indian government should do something.
I get your point, but what I'm trying to say
You
is
see,
your biggest, I would say so, sponsor, or let's just say, just say a personality who is very revered upon in the whole country was B.R. Ambedkar. Like an Indian follower, I mean to say, he converted to Buddhism. So let's just say he had his very big influence, right? There were reasons that he left Hinduism. So there are a lot of things wrong with his Hinduism. I'm telling you, as of today, as a Hindu, there are a lot of things wrong with Hinduism. So I believe that if you guys put up a strong stance that, hey guys, this is not going well for this country, for yourself, for us, we need to have more sense of brotherhood, sense of unity. I think it's going to be pretty good in my
you
personal
see,
opinion.
here I'm in my personal capacity. One thing
Yeah,
you should know,
absolutely.
yeah. And logically speaking, if I really look at it, uh, another thing is you should know that uh, we are here because of the kindness and compassion of India and Indian people. Okay,
Yes.
and we are a very limited number of people. His Holiness is a supreme Buddhist authority in our society. But again, yeah, for His Holiness to take some kind of a stand like that, I don't know, because His Holiness actually spoken on many occasions in Buddhist teachings that in Buddhism is not caste or creed, but one's own practice that is priority, and he has quoted from many Buddhist texts. Okay, but whether these Buddhist texts are applicable to others, whether they will heed to that or not, that's also questionable. And it's such a and His Holiness is not like a king of India.
I
It's
get
not
your
like a
point.
one decree
I get your
from him
point.
we
So,
walk all over.
but
No,
he is a very powerful force in this country. Plus, in
no, no.
India,
People,
there is no fixed caste or creed in India. Like it's not like these things are written in scriptures or in holy books of India. This is all self destruction, which Hindus have done to the religion.
no,
It's
no.
not
So
like caste system is actually prescribed by Indian
So
books.
wherever there are problems, people, I mean, we have constitutions, we have different levels of government, society, and so forth. So if you want a more regulated way of approach, then it's not like if they a letter from anyone, even the Pope or the highest Hindu priest in India comes, that people will easily heed to that, because that's a habit. That a habit that is not good, and that should stop. But then again, to impose something and get a result in 1 or 2 days, it's not like a decision by a judge.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So it will take time for India to transform, but more education, that's important. That's important.
Fingers crossed.
No, 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 really. I mean,
I know, I
yeah,
know.
because,
I totally get your
for
point.
example, if it's not going to work, for example, scenario, okay, or some religious authority, highly revered, okay, says something, and then whether it's going to really work well, or people might actually take it very negatively. Okay, and that's something, religion is a very
Very
sensitive issue,
complicated, sensitive,
sensitive issue. Okay,
irrational at
yeah, yeah.
times.
So if sensible people in their religions see something insensible, then it's their duty towards their own people, towards their own religion, uh, to really solve the problem. Okay, it's not like
This is at your miss.
we don't want to interfere too much. Okay,
I get your
yeah,
point.
yeah.
I get your point. And so again, a very strange question. Like, what's this issue with Dorje Shugden.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'm just wondering, I didn't know much about this thing, but what's the whole controversy about these things? Because in Buddhism, what they teach is compassion and inclusion. So why is he like? Why is this thing so secluded and being treated as a bad thing or a normal or even like a monster? If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure. So like, what's this whole thing?
Well, if you look at how this spirit
Yeah.
came into existence, there are two different interpretations. But the fifth Dalai Lama was a contemporary of the Lama who died and later became a spirit. Some people say he has attained high realizations and willingly arose as a Dhamma protector. Some people, like the fifth Dalai Lama, says that he was born as a negative spirit out of his uh, antagonism or animosity directed at the Tibetan government led by the fifth Dalai Lama. So if you look at and then Tibetan history, there are strings of Tibetan masters who have highly revered Tibetan masters who have said that it's not a useful spirit because the spirit uh, is said to create disharmony in our society, division in our own Buddhist communities. So because of that, many I belong to Gaelic tradition, but the Nyingma Kagyu Satya, they had a part of him for some time, but they have completely given up. And so other religious traditions like Kagyu Nyingma, they really view him as an evil spirit. Now, His Holiness has
Yeah.
spoken
What's the
that
stance on
for a
him?
very long time. Initially, he said, okay, if you appease him by treating him as an ordinary spirit, just like in Buddhist ritual, we have rituals of appeasement or worship to all levels of spirit. But raising him to the level of an enlightened Buddha, worshipping him more than, yes, for them actually, they do that. And then when that spirit comes into trance, he has given lots of prophecies that has uh, caused a lot of disharmony in our society. And so His Holiness very gently advised people. Initially, he didn't ask them to give up the practice entirely. He said, okay, it's not your mainstream practice. The main practice of Buddhism is to walk your way towards enlightenment. Cultivate compassion, cultivate renunciation, cultivate meditation. Now, that's the main thing, treading the path to enlightenment. Worshipping some spirit, or even if it's a real Dhamma protector, just so that you can get more money for this life, just so that you succeed in this life. That's not real religion. That's not Dhamma from our uh, perspective. So these people have not only rejected His Holiness advice, but they have gone to the Chinese. And then there was Chinese infiltration. There still is Chinese infiltration. And now they have actually formed societies, groups protecting the spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have really turned themselves against the Tibetan society. So when you become emotional over some religious thing, ideally, anger, attachment, all are wrong. But when you become too attached to one kind of set of a ritual or one set of a practice and remain oblivious to the greater picture, then there's a risk in any religious tradition. So because of that, it's not that His Holiness has no compassion for the spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
but
get your point.
for example, if people start worshipping me as a Buddha, that's totally wrong because I'm not a Buddha. I'm just as ordinary as you are, right? So elevating ordinary spirits level to the height of Buddhas and worshipping him as if that's their main priority, that's actually corrupting Buddhism, polluting Buddhism. So His Holiness has very gently for 3-4 decades advised people, and eventually they went to the Chinese, formed society, killed 3 people in Ramsar here. You have to look at the controversy at a deeper level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they are colluding with the Chinese and try to create chaos in society. So We have to split ways.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, it makes sense. So last thing, last very very important question. I'll just wrap this up, wrap this thing after this. Talking about His Holiness, I don't want to get in this question because it somewhere online pains me, but I just want to know what's the answer to it. Like, where does the future hold? So, as the Dalai Lama will approach end of his life nearly, I don't know when, but he intends to live at least 110, 120 years,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
I'm not wrong.
yeah, yeah.
I've seen that statement. 30, 40 years from now, sir, like 30 years from now, he's roughly 90, 80 or 89, I'm aware. What happens after that? Like, the issue of his successor, I think, is slightly unsettled. And sir, if it is so unsettled, do you believe that the it will destabilize the Tibetan Buddhism or the people in India, and like, or the people, Buddhist people living in India, and maybe could give China an edge over this whole thing?
Uh, you see, what's going to happen? I truly believe His Holiness is going to live up to 110.
Yeah,
So, but in 30 years from now, what's going to happen is very unpredictable.
it is
Okay.
very very unpredictable.
Yeah. But nowadays, people need a topic to discuss and politicize. And China also wants to politicize and they want to control. They don't believe in reincarnation, but they are interested in Dalai Lama's reincarnation. They don't
Absolutely.
believe in religion. So His Holiness has on several occasions said, first they should recognize Mao Zedong's reincarnation. Things should be his reincarnation, except religion. And then some other communist Chinese uh, former leaders reincarnation who have died. And then maybe they might have they might say something about the Dalai Lama's reincarnation.
Right.
They have no religion. They want to impose, they want to, the hegemonic design of China is beyond limit.
Absolutely.
Okay. And
Crazy.
yeah, crazy. It's really crazy. And so they can say anything because right now when you have, the way these terrorists behave when they have gun in their hand, so they think they are the boss right now. But those are speaking loudly against all those things, against His Holiness and dictating terms about His Holiness reincarnation. In 30 years, they will be gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gone. And even if China chooses one Dalai Lama, the Tibetans will not agree to that.
Recognize,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
recognize that.
Just like they fake Panchen Lama. Uh, okay, they may force, but faith is, you cannot impose faith. You have to win faith based on merit, whether it's a government, whether it's an individual, whether it's a religious figure. So communists like to dictate things, And the first, they should stop their own death. So anyway, I actually I'm against their wrong views. I'm not against the Chinese. I'm a Buddhist practitioner.
Absolutely, sir.
Yeah, when
Absolutely.
I think of compassion, do my own meditations on compassion. Chinese are not included, excluded, nor is that Dorje Shugden excluded. Okay, none of them, no sentient being is excluded. Okay, so long as they are sentient, they are included. But then wrong views of people, you need to challenge. So, Ayadev, Indian master, said, the Buddhas have seen the negative emotions of sentient beings as faulty, as wrong, not people who have them. People who have these negative emotions, fundamentally, they want to be happy, right? They don't want to suffer. The means for ending their sufferings or embracing happiness, that's wrong, all right? So, because of that, the Chinese view and position on His Holiness reincarnation, I think there's unnecessarily politicizing that. As I said, their original boundary is the Great Wall of China. Now, they are not speaking, nowadays, they are not addressing that
They're
Great
not talking
Wall,
about it.
talking about
They're
it.
not talking about it.
Anyway, so I think 30 years from now, what's going to happen in the future, I don't know. But we Tibetans, I hope I will live up to that time. And we Tibetans, our generations, are actually very strong in our resolve that the Dalai Lama will come in our society, will continue to lead us, whether it's in a free Tibet, a freer Tibet in the future, in or still in India. I'm not really worried about that.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Pakistani would love it. Get your point, sir. Get your point. Yes, thank you so much, sir. It was
It's a very good interaction.
yeah.
I'm happy.
I know this wasn't spiritual, but it had to be. But this
Yeah, yeah.
conversation had to take place. It's
Yeah, yeah.
because there are a lot more things than the spirituality. Because there are world issues involved as well. So we need to take those into consideration as well. Thank you so much, sir. Humble, sir. Humble. Thank you so much.
I'm also very happy to be able to interact with you, and I hope people may get some benefit from
Yeah,
our interaction.
absolutely,
Yeah,
sir. It was really interesting.
yeah.
Genuinely speaking, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.